सो नमस्कार दोस्तों, कैसे हो आप लोग? होप यू आर डूइंग वेल एंड गुड इवनिंग. टुडे we will start, as you see, जॉन कीट्स ओड ऑन इंडोलेंस. ठीक है, तो बिफोर वी स्टार्ट दिस पोएम वी हैव ऑलरेडी covered 5 odes, the major 5 odes by John Keats. Ode to Nightingale, Ode to Psyche, Ode to Autumn, Ode on a Grecian Urn, and this one, Ode on Indolence, which we are going to cover today. तो ये 6 odes आज complete हो जाएंगे. So then we can say that लगभग हम कीट्स का जो टॉपिक है, हमारे जो सिलेबस है CGPSC में इंग्लिश सब्जेक्ट में, कीट्स ओड्स. So all the odes, सारे odes today we will be able to cover. ठीक है? And after the class I will also talk about some important points कि टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस हमें बहुत अच्छे से करना है. कई सारे एक्सप्लेनेशंस, लाइन्स पूछा जा सकता है, तो वी शुड बी अवेयर अबाउट द क्वेश्चंस. मैं कुछ क्वेश्चंस ऑलरेडी इस ग्रुप में शेयर किया हूँ. 2-3 क्वेश्चंस MPPSC जो लास्ट टाइम अभी हाल ही में हुआ, तो उसमें से मैं कुछ क्वेश्चंस उठा के पूछा हूँ. एंड ऑल ऑफ यू हैव डन करेक्टली द आंसर्स. ओके, कि केसमेंट जो वर्ड है वो कौन से पोएम से लिया गया है ना. और वी हैव टू सी द लाइन्स ऑल्सो, क्योंकि देयर आर मेनी इम्पॉर्टेंट वर्ड्स और लाइन्स, more or less they are related or similar to other odes. ठीक है, जैसे फ्लावर्स का नाम, केसमेंट, ये कौन से पोएम में है, और immortality, these are some repetitive words that Keats used in most of his odes. So ऐसे क्वेश्चन अगर आते हैं एग्ज़ाम में, so we have to be carefully correct the answer, क्योंकि हो सकता है कि सेम वर्ड 2-3 ओड में मेंशन्ड है. सो दैट्स वाई वी हैव टू बी लिटिल केयरफुल एंड स्मार्ट वाइल डूइंग द आंसर. ये हमें ध्यान देना है. इसीलिए हर ओड का टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस करना बहुत ज़रूरी है, डिटेल्ड एनालिसिस करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस वी ऑल्सो सी द क्रिटिकल इंसाइट्स दैट आर रेलिवेंट. ओके, after completing John Keats, we also will discuss another important, very important topic related to romanticism, and that is romantic criticism, that we will be discussing very soon. Okay, today we will discuss romantic criticism also, but that will go in a public mode after this class. ठीक है, so we should start the poem now. Ode, we became aware of what is ode, what is the definition of ode, what are the types, what are its prime characteristics, who are the masters of ode. ये जो बेसिक आइडियाज़ है ये हमारा क्लियर हो गया है, राइट. Now ode on indolence. Now if you can understand the very idea of this word indolence, then 50% of our job is done. Indolence मतलब क्या है बताइए कमेंट बॉक्स में. What do you mean by indolence? What is indolence? Tell me in the comment box. बताइए आप लोग, what is indolence? Very good evening, Dr. Reena. Yes, what is indolence? Indolence मतलब क्या होता है? 50% of the idea about the odes will be cleared when you understand the title of the poem itself. तो टाइटल हमें बहुत अच्छे से समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है, एंड इट्स वेरी सिंपल वन, ओड ऑन इंडोलेंस. एग्जैक्टली, थैंक यू डॉक्टर रीना. लेजीनेस, राइट. इंडोलेंस मीन्स लेजीनेस, कुछ ना करने का, कुछ करने का मन ना करना, लेजीनेस, सॉर्ट ऑफ लेथार्जी, है ना. दीज आर द एडजेक्टिव्स दैट यू शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ. इस वर्ड से भी क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है कि इंडोलेंस रेफर्स टू दिस 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 दिस, राइट. एंड द मोस्ट important word, synonymous word for indolence is laziness or lethargy or slothness. Sloth, S-L-O-T-H, slothness. Slothness is the extreme degree of laziness. There is no inclination towards work, rather disinclination towards work. Okay, so these are the major synonyms, major words that define indolence. Number 1, laziness. Number 2, lethargy. Number 3, slothness. And number 4, disinclination. So these are the 4 words. अगर ऐसा पूछा जाए तो you will get at least one out of these 4. Laziness, lethargy, slothness or disinclination. Passivity is also there. Inertia भी कहा जा सकता है, but inertia का मतलब हमेशा indolence नहीं होता है. Inertia मतलब you are not able to work. Okay, it can be mental, it can be physical too. But indolence is a completely a state of emotional extreme level, emotional extremity. Okay, so this is what we understand by indolence. Clear? So ode on indolence. So what kind of poem is it? The poet is dedicating his poetic art to indolence, to laziness. So first point that we got to know over here is that the poet is talking about something, not talking to someone. Here the poet addresses on something, that is indolence, while laziness becomes very important topic for Keats. That we will see in the course of this class definitely. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Next important question from this particular ode. It is posthumously published in 1848. Number 1, information for you. All the odes were written in 1819, right? All the odes were written in 1819 and all the odes were published in 1820 except this one. This one was not published in 1820. It was published after Keats's death, right? And Keats died in 1821. So we need to understand, we हमें जानना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि सारे ओड तो 1819 में लिखा गया और 1820 में पब्लिश हो गया. Why not this one was published in the same year 1820? ये 1820 में क्यों नहीं पब्लिश हुआ? Reason number 1, this ode was not considered to be the most important ode by critics. That's why it was not published. It was published much later, after his death, many years later. It was published in 1848. यहाँ से बहुत बार क्वेश्चन आ चुका है कि when was Ode on Indolence published? It was published in 1848, posthumous publication. Posthumous मतलब after death of the author. If any work is published after death of the author, then that work is called posthumously published, posthumous publication. Okay, क्लियर? तो ये एक इंफॉर्मेटिव क्वेश्चन हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. All the odes were written in 1819, published in 1820, but this particular ode on Indolence, were written in 1819 like other odes, but not published in 1820. Rather, it was published in 1848, after many years after his death, and the year is 1848. Clear? Now we are entering the poem now. Now, John Keats, while composing the poem, before he composes the poem, he was reading something. What was he reading? He was reading James Thomson's book, The Castle of Indolence. Thomson's book. James Thomson, one of the important writer in the transitional period, James Thomson, and Keats was reading his poem, the collection of poem, The Castle of Indolence, and while reading it, he found importance on the notion of indolence. तो यहाँ से भी important question हो सकता है कि which book influenced Keats to write Ode on Indolence? So the book is The Castle of Indolence by James Thomson. ये हमें याद रखना है. Right? Now we are going to focus on the text, on the poem itself. Now I think you can see the poem. See, if you are able to watch the poem line by line, then it is well and good. Otherwise, keep, जब मैं पहले से ही बता के रखता हूँ कि आज हम ये टॉपिक पढ़ेंगे या वो टॉपिक पढ़ेंगे, जैसा कि मैं ऑलरेडी नोट्स भी शेयर किया हूँ ओड ऑन इंडोलेंस. अब इफ़ इट इज़ विजिबल तब तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, और विजिबल नहीं होता है तो पहले से आप टेक्स्ट को दूसरी जगह ओपन करके रखिए, क्योंकि टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है. So, ode on indolence. So, indolence refers to slothness, laziness, or disinclination, right? Some kind of passivity. Okay. Now, the first epigraph. This is. I don't see any epigraph used in other odes, right? This is the only poem in which we see that before the poem starts, there is the epigraph. They toil not, neither do they spin. This line is taken from Bible. Okay, and Keats is a kind of poet who challenges the form, the rules and regulations laid down by the neoclassical writers. Okay, today I also will discuss the contribution and the limitation also of the neoclassical tradition, neoclassical literature, because before Romantic period there was the neoclassical writer, Augustan age of Dryden, Alexander Pope, John Dryden, then comes Samuel Johnson also comes much later. So this is the age of neoclassicism. Neoclassical writers follow the classical tradition. They follow what is the classical tradition? Classical tradition refers that every author must follow rules and regulations laid down by the masters, by the classical masters. So form became very important, very relevant. What is inside was not a matter of importance to the neoclassical writers. That's why we see, Macflecknoe by Dryden. Dryden. So Dryden is satirizing Shadwell in that satirical poem Macflecknoe. So what is inside the text is not a matter of serious issue, but the way it is presented, the form is important. What is the form? Satirical form. Satire becomes an important form. Mock epic becomes an important form. Rape of the Lock by Alexander Pope. Because if you look into the inside of the poem, there is no serious issue at all. It is what should क्या बताऊं, मतलब the issue is about cutting of the lock of Belinda, the character in that poetry, and it is called mock heroic. So again, satirical poem by Pope. So people like Pope or Dryden, they focus more on the form, satire or novel, whatever, but their form becomes more important. So that's why they were considered as neoclassical. So for them, what is inside is not important. What is outside becomes important. And what is outside? The form, rules, regulations that are laid down by the classical masters, that are to be followed. But in the Romantic literature, as we see, Romantic poets, Romantic poets are not running after rules and regulations. They are not looking what is outward, what is outside, rather what is inside the text, what is internal, what is inner experience. Okay, so that's the point. So that's why indolence, laziness, disinclination is one such topic that Keats found important. Okay, there are many autobiographical reasons also for this kind of dedication to indolence, to laziness, because Keats's body is deteriorating due to tuberculosis. His whole family suffered from tuberculosis. Many critics call it a genetic issue, right? That his mother suffered from TB, who died, and his brother Tom Keats also suffered from the same disease and died of same reason. And Keats's body is deteriorating out of this disease, TB, tuberculosis. So his body is deteriorating, and the pain that he keeps experiencing so much that he is not able to take it anymore. Okay, and that's why he finds that he will come to this poem. Let us start the poem. Through discussing the poem itself, we will explore many autobiographical analogies or aspects of poet. Okay, so let us start the poem. One morn before me were three figures seen. In one morning in front of me, I have seen three figures. Who are the figures? Well, we will come to know. With bowed necks, the necks are not erected, the necks are stooped, the necks are quite, downcast, नीचे तरफ झुका हुआ है. With bowed necks and joined hands. So there are three figures, and three figures are holding hand in hand. They are standing, okay, and they are standing like this. Okay, so there are three figures and they are standing like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the three figures are not standing like 1, 2, 3, rather this 1, 2, 3, side by side. It is not clear to the poet. The poet is not able to identify right now. He is not able to identify who are these three figures. He is not able to recognize because they are standing side by side. With bowed necks and joined hands, side faced, as I just told, side faced ऐसे, ठीक है, side faced. ये एक जन यहाँ पे खड़ा है, फिर सामने और तीसरा. Okay, so 3 figures are standing side by side, and one behind the other stepped serene. They are completely silent. 3 of them standing side by side, but they keep quiet so much. They are not, it's a kind of pin drop silence. It's a dead silence, completely silence. In placid sandals, in one behind the other stepped serene, in placid sandals, beautifully decorated sandals they were wearing, and in white robes dressed. They dressed in white clothes gracefully. It looks beautiful. They passed. They passed. They didn't say anything. They didn't look at the poet. They just suddenly appear, and Keats and the poet sees them, but they are standing side by side, and the poet just sees the placid sandals, beautifully decorated sandals, and white robes, white clothes. They are clad in white dresses, right? So they dressed in gracefully white clothes. They passed. They moved away. वो लोग चले गए. Like figures on a marble urn. Now, do you remember something from this line? Like figures on a marble urn. We have read Ode on a Grecian urn, and on the surface body of the urn, the poet explores different figures, different stories, different myths, beautifully decorated, so beautiful as if this is the permanent work of art, which he said in that ode on a Grecian urn. So similarly, he makes a comparison over here. They passed, and like figures on a marble urn. So these figures that even till now the poet is not able to identify who are these figures. They look like some figures on a marble urn. When shifted around to see the other side, so the 3 figures are standing side by side, and they shifted. तो तीनों फिगर खड़े हैं साइड बाय साइड, और तीनों ऐसे शिफ्ट हो गए मतलब जो तीसरा 3rd नंबर पे जो खड़े थे वो शिफ्ट हो गए, मतलब पीछे वाला सामने आ गया, सामने वाला पीछे चला गया. So when shifted round to see the other side, when they shifted themselves, जो सामने था पीछे चला गया, जो पीछे था सामने आ गया. At that time the poet tries to identify, these 3 figures look like figures on a marble urn. They came again. They came, they passed, they came again. They came again, as when the urn once more is shifted round. Now, if the urn is shifted, then again the 3 figures appeared. So initially he said, when the 3 figures are shifted, then he finds these figures might look like figures on a marble urn. And when further he thinks, if somebody shifts the urn, again these figures will come back. So what is happening over here? Now we can easily understand. So Keats is reading James Thomson's poem, The Castle of Indolence. laziness. Keats is feeling lethargic. Keats is feeling inertia, some kind of passivity, slothness, laziness. He is not feeling well to work. He is just thinking in his mind. He is a kind of drowsy mindset in his imagination. Okay. As when the urn once more is shifted around, the first scene shades return. The first figure that the poet identifies has come back again. So there is a circularity, ongoing circularity in the mind of the poet. The poet is thinking again and again, again and again. The three figures come, they moved on, and they shifted. Then they come again. Then things, if it looks like figures on a marble urn, and again he thinks if somebody shifts the urn itself, then those figures come back again. So it is a kind of circularity of the poet's imaginative figures. I am repeating it once again. It is the circularity of the poet's imaginative mind. We will find easily after a couple of lines who are the three figures. यही क्वेश्चन बार बार घूम फिर के आता है. Who are the three figures mentioned in Ode on Indolence? We will see that. Let's continue. So the first scene, shades return. The shade of the figure, the shadow of the figure comes back again. And they were strange to me. Who are they? Three figures. Why strange? Because the poet is not able to recognize these three figures. As many betide with verses to one deep in Phidian lore. The poet is not able to find any definite character. Who are these three characters? That's what Keats is searching. He is in search of the three characters. Who are they? Okay, now coming to the second stanza. In the second stanza, what we see? How is it shadows? So Keats here finds shadow, nothing but shadows. Shadows of those three figures. That I knew ye not. I don't know whose shadows are these. That's what he means to say in this line. How is it shadows that I knew ye not? I do not know whose shadows are these. How came ye muffled in so hush a mask? Their face are masked face. Their face are not visible. Their faces are not visible. They have masked faces. How came ye muffled, tired, masked faces? Why tired? That we will come to know later. Why muffled? Muffled means very tired, exhausted, very exhausted. So the kind of shadow that Keats might see, and Keats tries to look at more and more and tries to identify that these, their appearance look like muffled, but their faces are masked. Their face Their faces are covered with masked face. Was it a silent, disguised plot to steal away and live without a task my idle days? So the poet Keats makes a question, very important question, that why these figures are not visible to me? Why these figures are not communicating to me? Is there any conspiracy against me that they are going to do on me? Was it a silent, deep, disguised plot to steal away? Are they going to conspire something against me and live without a task my idle days? They came, they are visible somehow and not visible also, and they didn't say anything to me. They should have given at least some kind of task to me in my idle days. I am sleeping, I am enjoying. They should know I should wake up and do something, but they didn't say anything to me. This is the mental state of the poet. The poet is relaxing, carelessly, enjoying, doing nothing. Ripe was the drowsy hour. Important line, ये line उठा के पूछा जा सकता है. One of the important line, you please underline this. Ripe was the drowsy hour. Very important line. Ripe was the drowsy hour. What do you mean? He tries to say that this drowsy hour is the best. Why? Because he doesn't have to do anything. He is passing the time. He is sleeping. He is relaxing. So the ripe was the drowsy hour. This drowsy hour is the best. It is the best time. And drowsy hour, drowsy, the time, it is the summer season. And drowsy. In the summer season, people do not feel energetic to work. And Keats also is feeling the same. He is not feeling energetic to work. He is not feeling energetic to compose poetry even. He is not in a mood to write poem. He says this is the best time. This drowsy hour, sleepy time. Okay. So important line. Ripe was the drowsy hour. So this line is important. It, in explanation, what should be the important points? Right? Why ripe was the drowsy hour? This drowsy hour is very relaxing, because it might suggest the poet's withdrawal from writing poetry. It might suggest the poet's indolence towards writing poetry. It might suggest the poet's laziness, poet's lethargic attitude, that he doesn't want to write poetry anymore. He is fed up. He is fed up because there are many personal reasons also. वो भी बहुत important होता है. During his lifetime, he was never acclaimed. He was never considered a great poet. People always criticized over his sentimental poetry. He has been criticized, and many critics also many critics criticized his poetry. His Keats's poetry are full of sentimentality, over sensuous experience. There is lack of poetic depth. These kind of criticisms meted out, came to his life, and for that Keats was very heartbroken for that. बहुत बुरा लगा था उनको. Keats was very heartbroken. But after his death, he became one of the leading romantic poets. Okay, so this withdrawal, this sense of withdrawal, this sense of cold anger is the outcome of the repetitive criticism that he experienced throughout his life, throughout his career. That is one of the important reasons for his indolence towards writing poetry anymore. And Ode on Indolence, it was not published in 1820, rather 1848, much later after his death. Okay, so when we will read romantic poetry, or broadly speaking romantic literature, all things put together, biographical, autobiographical, social, political, cultural, textual, critical, all things come together. There was a very important leading editor of a magazine called The Examiner in the romantic period की बात कर रहा हूं मैं. Leigh Hunt, Leigh, Hunt, Hunt. प्लीज नोट इट डाउन. इसमें इनके नाम से बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं कि ली हंट ने ये बोले हैं, किसको बोले हैं, ली हंट का ये रिमार्क है, किन के ऊपर है. ओके, सो देयर आर मेनी क्वेश्चंस. I will give you those questions and we will discuss later also. Leigh Hunt, the editor of the magazine, The Examiner, ये नाम भी important है, The Examiner. Who is the editor? Leigh Hunt. Leigh Hunt wrote many things about Keats's letters. Okay, so these became very important. Okay, so Keats's financial condition was not well off, and he has to work different workplaces, and he has a family issues, especially his medical issues, because I already said his mother suffered from TB and died. His his younger brother Tom Keats also died of the same disease, and Keats, his body is deteriorating. He also had TB and it is deteriorating day by day. And on top of it, many people, many critics are howling him down through criticism. That his poetry is full of sentimentality. There is no proper intellectual depth. He sleeps, he dreams and composes poems. That was the kind of the extreme level of criticism made against Keats, which made him very heartbroken throughout his career. But ironically, he became one of the leading romantic poets after his death. Okay, so let's get back to our poem, Ode on Indolence. Ripe was the drowsy hour. So this line, ripe was the drowsy hour, is a kind of poet's withdrawal from writing poetry. He is no longer feeling energetic to compose any more poem. Right? He is writing this in 1819 and he died 1 year later, 1821. So we can understand his mindset, right? We also discussed one aspect, morbidity. है ना? Morbidity, morbid, M-O-R-B-I-D, morbid. Morbid means suicidal mindset, sort of suicidal, pessimistic, hopeless. Okay. The blissful cloud of summer indolence. Now the natural climate, the environment in which he was composing was very lazy environment. होता है ना ऐसे कई सारे, मतलब ऐसे कुछ दिन होता है कि यार आज का काम करने का मन नहीं कर रहा है. दिस काम ना करने का जो एक वो रहता है, लॉ में, इन लीगल डिस्कोर्स, लॉ जो स्टडी है, लॉ में एक इम्पॉर्टेंट टर्म आता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड रैशनल एपैथी. रैशनल एपैथी, पैथेटिक पैथी, पैथी मतलब फर्क पड़ना, और एपैथी, APATHY, एपैथी. एपैथी मतलब नहीं करना है काम, नहीं करना है मतलब नहीं करना है. तो दैट लॉ डिस्कसेस ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर इशू, रैशनल एपैथी. हाँ नहीं करना है, आज काम नहीं करना है, मन नहीं है, लेजीनेस. सो दैट इज वन ऑफ द इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट्स इन लॉ. एनीवे, so the blissful cloud of summer, the cloud is blissful. Why blissful? Because it is so relaxing, it's so soothing experience for the poet to not to work and just enjoy sleeping on bed. The blissful cloud of summer, indolence, laziness. Bina, okay, it is continuing. The blissful cloud of summer, indolence, benumbed my eyes. Benumbed my eyes. I am not able to open my eyes. होता है ना, मतलब कभी कभी हम सोते हैं और सुबह जब उठने का मन नहीं करते, आंखें खोलने का मन नहीं करता है ना, थोड़ा और सो लेते हैं, अच्छा लग रहा है. So that that kind of summer season, relaxing, drowsy, sleepy weather, benumbed my eyes. ऐसा है कि मेरा आंखें जो है खुल ही नहीं रहा है. It is so benumbed, it is so drowsy. You are lost in kind of deep-headed sleep. Benumbed my eyes. My pulse grew less and less. My pulse grew less and less. Again, his body is deteriorating. He is feeling very sick. He is not feeling well physically, mentally, emotionally. He has faced criticism. He is experiencing the deep pain of tuberculosis, and he finds no importance anymore to write poetry. He finds writing poetry useless. My pulse grew less and less. Pain had no sting, and pleasures wreathed no flower. Very important line. एपिग्रामेटिक फिगर ऑफ स्पीच यूज हुआ है. अगर पूरे पोएम में देखा जाए कि कौन सा एपिग्रामेटिक एक्सप्रेशन है, तो ये लाइन है वो. पेन हैड नो स्टिंग एंड प्लेजर्स रीड नो फ्लावर. बहुत बड़ी बात है, इट्स अ बिग थिंग. काफ़ी थॉट प्रोवोकिंग है ये. वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट डज इट मीन टू से. पेन हैड नो स्टिंग. नाउ the poet is not feeling any pain. He has experienced pain so much. Now he is ready to accept all kinds of pain. Now pain cannot move him anymore. And pleasures wreath. Wreath matlab a sort of, wreath matlab mala, beads. Beads, BEADS, beads. Beads of prayer. हमें ऐसे वो माला जब करते हैं ना, ऐसे ऐसे, तो दैट एक्सप्रेशन यूज्ड. प्लेजर्स रीड नो फ्लावर. नाइदर आई एम मूव्ड बाय प्लेजर नॉर बाय पेन. सो दिस इज द मेंटल स्टेट. दिस इज द स्टेट ऑफ पोएट्स फिजिकल एज वेल एज मेंटल कॉन्शसनेस. एपिग्रामेटिक. दिस इज एन फिगर ऑफ स्पीच. दिस इज अ रेटोरिकल डिवाइस ऑफ एपिग्राम. एपिग्रामेटिक है ये. एपिग्रामेटिक मतलब इट विल से अपैरेंटली समथिंग, बट इट विल गिव अ वेरी डीपर मीनिंग beneath the apparent sentence. That is called epigram. So this line is epigrammatic expression. Okay. Oh, why did you not melt and leave my sense unhaunted? Quite of all but nothingness. But these three figures that are disturbing me. They are coming, going, coming, going. This coming and going is disturbing the poet so much. Why don't you go away? Why did you not melt? Why did you not disappear, not go out away from my eyes and leave my sense unhaunted? Why are you haunting my eyes? Why are you haunting me, coming and going, coming and going? Let me stay unhaunted from your figures. So why did you not melt? Why didn't you go away and leave my sense unhaunted? Because your appearance is haunting me so much. Unhaunted, quite of all, but nothingness. But nothingness. The poet is experiencing nothingness. He is not able to find any meaning from those figures. Okay. And on top of it, the poet doesn't want to work. The poet doesn't want to wake up, because this is a blissful cloud. This is the beautiful atmosphere, so drowsy, and his eyes are benumbed. He doesn't want to wake up. He enjoys in a sleeping mode. Okay. Now, coming to the next stanza. A third time passed they by. फिर से वो लोग आ गए. A third time passed, and passing turned each one the face a moment whiles to me. Then they come again. Then they are started shifting from one place to another place, and then faded. फिर से चले गए. Then they faded away. And to follow them, I burned and ached for wings. Now I got irritated. Now I got negatively excited so much. What is happening? Who are they? I burned. Here burned means I desired. I desired. Okay. So he is burning in desire to know who they are, and ached for wings. Now I want to know. I should have some wings of proper active imagination. Wings means active imaginative power that he looks for, because he is suffering physically. And now he wants to know who are they. Now I have to know. I have to identify them. So then I burned and ached for wings, because I knew the three. No, I knew the three. I knew who are these. Now I understood who are these. The first was a fair maid. Fair maiden. Here maid means maiden. Beautiful lady. The first one is a beautiful lady. And love her name. और उनका नाम क्या है? Love. So there are three figures, and we found number one, love. Who is love? The fair maid. The fair maiden. The beautiful lady. ये हमें याद रखना है. Particularly this line. The first was a fair maid, and love her name. So love is the first figure that the poet identified now. The second was ambition. The second figure is ambition. Pale of cheek. But the cheek of ambition is pale. Is not very shining cheek. Pale cheek. Rough cheek. Because it is very, metaphorical that all of us look for getting our ambition. All of us look for getting our ambition true. Dream comes true. है ना? So for years after years after years, you look for ambition so much. Sometimes the shine of ambition becomes pale. Now, so similarly, the poet also says, the second was ambition, pale of cheek. The cheek of ambition is pale, and ever watchful with fatigued eye. Ambition is very watchful. Ambition is looking at me. Though eyes are fatigued, eyes are very tired, but ambition is very watchful. It's a kind of watchdog. So it shows hard work. It shows that you are working hard so much. Your eyes may, you may got some black marks beneath the eyes because you are working hard so much. But your aim, your ambition is clear. You know your ambition and you are looking for it. You are working hard for it. So that's why ever more watchful with fatigued eye, fatigued, very tired, exhausted eye. Though the eyes are exhausted, but they are, completely, but ambition is fully aware of its role. The last, so abhi tak there are two figures. One is love, fair maid. Number 2, ambition, pale of cheek. Number 3, and the last one, the last whom I love more, the more of blame is heaped upon her. जो लास्ट वन है उसको मैं बहुत प्यार भी करता हूं और बुरा भी बोलता हूं. ओके, whom I love more and the more of blame is heaped upon her. I always give blame to her and I always love her too. Maiden most unmeek. Maiden, a lady, a beautiful lady, but most unmeek. Meek मतलब जो हर बातें सुनता है, हाँ सर, यस सर, जी सर करता रहता है. That person is called meek and mild, very obedient, soft spoken. But unmeek, जो कभी बातें नहीं सुनता है. So he says, she is very unmeek. That's why I love her and I hate her too. I knew to be my demon poesy. So he says that the third figure is poesy. Poesy means poetry. So the poet has reached into a state where he found his poetry definitely a matter of inspiration, seriousness, importance, but also hate, hatred, withdrawal, disinterested. The poet is no longer interested to compose any more poetry. Okay? They faded and forsooth. Again they faded, they again disappeared, and forsooth. Truly speaking, forsooth matlab sahi bolna. Truly speaking, I wanted wings, and when they faded again, truly speaking, I want my wings. Truly speaking, I want my wings back. What wings Keats is talking about? His imagination, his imaginative, poetic skill, which he is lacking now. Oh folly, what is love and where is it? Now I have just seen love and it is no more. So again, here we see the poet questions the most admirable figure, love. And he says, what is love? Where is it? Does love reside permanently? No, there is no love. We are living in a state of illusion. Or the poet's idea comes delusion, delusion. मोह में जी रहे हैं. वो बोलते हैं ना सब मोह माया है, तो ये तो मोह है. We are living in a world of illusion where people find love, where people search for love. There is no love. It comes and goes. What is love and where is it? And for that poor ambition, bichara ambition, wretched ambition, it springs from a man's little heart's short fever fit ambition. Which person longs for his ambition so much, there is always some kind of frustration heaped upon his mind. For a man's little heart short fever fit, वो थोड़ी देर के लिए एम्बिशियस होता है इंसान, शॉर्ट फीवर, जैसे बुखार आता है फिर चला जाता है बुखार, तो एम्बिशियस हो जाते हैं तो मतलब बहुत कुछ कर लेंगे, फिर थोड़ी देर बाद सब खत्म। जैसे वो 10 सेकंड वाला मोटिवेशनल वीडियोस हम देखते हैं, 10 सेकंड के लिए वी बिकम एम्बिशियस, आफ्टर 10 सेकंड्स वी कम बैक टू आवर ओन रोल, वी कम बैक टू आवर reality. So poet tries to say poor ambition, it springs from a man's little heart short fever fit, it is short lived, it comes like a fever and it goes away soon. For poesy, for poetry, no, she has not a joy. So this is the only ode in which the poet says poetry does not have any joy. You remember the line, away, away, I will fly to thee, not charioted by Bacchus and his birds, but on the viewless wings of poesy. So through writing poetry, through composing poetry, through the power of my poetry, I will fly to the world of nightingale and will become permanent, will enjoy the beauty of permanence. But here, contradiction comes. And we also discussed this topic, right? Contradiction of opposites. So now we find differences within his odes. In this ode, he says, for poesy, no, she has not a joy. Poetry is no longer a joyful experience to poet here. At least for me, मेरे लिए, at least मेरे लिए तो और ये पोइट्री में कोई जॉयफुल एक्सपीरियंस और मुझे नहीं लग रहा, बहुत हो गया। एक सेकेंड। Okay, at least for me, so sweet as drowsy noons. Now this afternoon is so sweet, so drowsy, so beautiful, so relaxing. Just a second. And evening steeped in honeyed indolence. Look at this expression, honeyed indolence. Indolence मतलब laziness. लेकिन इसके ऊपर और थोड़ा और ज़्यादा लेजीनेस आ जाए, कुछ ना करना पड़े, सोते रहो. So that is honeyed indolence. So the poet is in a state of delusion. Delusion. D-E-L-U-S-I-O-N. Delusion. Or you can say illusion. Or for an age so sheltered from annoy that I may never know how change the moons or hear the voice of busy common sense. Now the poet is not interested to hear the busy common sense, the fever, the weariness, fever and fret. The poet is not interested to listen to these physical world. Neither the poet wants to fly into the world of imagination. The poet wants to do nothing, nothingness. Now the last stanza. So here three ghosts. So initially he refers those three characters as figures. Now he refers them as ghosts. So here three ghosts, adieu. So you three ghosts, you three figures, goodbye. You cannot raise my head. You cannot raise my head. Now I am not going to wake up. You cannot raise my head, cool bedded in the flowery grass. I am sleeping as if my bed is full of cool, cool air and with grass, flowery grass. The grass is full of fresh flowers. For I would not be dieted with praise. Now I am not going to experience any kind of praise. Diet here means diet, खुराक बोलते हैं ना. So I am not going to, I do not need you. Initially, I used to need you. Love, ambition, poetry. He used to need these things. But now, I would not be dieted with praise. A pet lamb in a sentimental verse. It is like a pet lamb in a sentimental verse. Look at his frustration coming out. मैं बता रहा था कि in his personal life throughout his career many critics criticized him of many critics accused his poetry of being sentimental, and he says a pet lamb in a sentimental verse. What is the value of my poetry? It is just a sentimental thing to people. Fade softly from my eyes and be once more in mask-like figures. Mask-like figures. Those figures, mask-like figures on the dreamy urn. So in the dreamy urn, the urn that the poet is daydreaming, and in that urn the poet might see these three figures. Farewell, I yet have visions for the night. I have some other visions for the night. Don't come to me anymore. And for the day, faint visions there in store. At night I have some other thing to think. At day I have some other faint, though fainted, though not clear, but I have some kind of visions for day. Vanish, you phantoms. You go away, you phantoms. You are of no value. You are of no importance. So पहले figures, फिर ghosts and then phantoms. ये MPPSC में क्वेश्चन आया था, जितना मुझे याद आ रहा है इसी ओड से, कि जो थ्री फिगर्स का जिक्र किया गया है इस ओड में, तो क्या which is not used in this poem. ठीक है, तो फिगर्स, गोस्ट्स, फैंटम्स, कैरेक्टर्स. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे apparitions, sorry, not character, apparitions. तो सही आंसर होगा apparition. Apparition word is not used, but the rest of the three are used. Figures, ghosts, phantoms. So vanish ye phantoms from my idol sprite. Here sprite means spirit. That let me stay idle. Let me stay lazy. Don't try to wake me up. I don't want to wake up anymore. Into the clouds. ये क्या हो रहा है? Into the clouds and never more return. Okay. So vanish phantoms from my idle spirit into the clouds. Go into the clouds and vanish and never come again. Right. So this is about the text. Ode on Indolence. So here we see Keats' withdrawal from his career, from his poetic career, from poetry, and the poet gets disillusioned that there is no love, there is no value of love, and there is no value for my poetry, and it suggests his deep-seated frustration, which came from the criticism that he faced throughout his life. But ironically, he became one of the leading romantic figures. Okay, so this is about the poem. गड़बड़ हो गया है क्या? Now see, today I will end up this class here now. ये जो PDF है मैं ये ऑलरेडी शेयर कर दिया हूँ. I will come back after 5 minutes with a public video on romantic criticism. ठीक है, वो लिंक मैं शेयर कर दूंगा पब्लिक वाला जो ग्रुप है उसमें, नेट सेट CGPSC जो ग्रुप है उसमें मैं अभी शेयर करने वाला हूँ. So you must come and we will discuss romantic criticism. Okay, so for our class we have completed all the 6 odes by John Keats. ठीक है. Now your job is to read with proper explanation and proper carefully analysis. जितने सारे points मैं बताया हूँ, read all the odes, and if you face any problem, write down your doubts in the Telegram channel. I will pick up and discuss in a more detailed way. ठीक है. सो दिस इज अबाउट द पोएम. ये पोएम के बाद जो क्रिटिकल इनसाइट्स है दैट इज देयर. आफ्टर क्रिटिकल इनसाइट्स देयर आर सम लिस्ट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस ऑन दिस ओड ऑन इंडोलेंस. उसको आप पढ़िए, फिर और भी कोई डाउट होता है तो बताना. ठीक है. सो दिस इज अबाउट द ओड्स. ये जो ओड है, इस ओड में हमें टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस के साथ साथ काफ़ी सारे ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो भी हमें ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. 1848 में पब्लिश हुआ. ओके. दिस पोएम इज़ वन ऑफ द आउटकम ऑफ हिज पर्सनल इश्यूज़ जो मैं बताया. फिनेंशियल इश्यूज़, फिजिकल इश्यूज़ एंड इंटेलेक्चुअल पोएटिक सर्कल में इनको कोई जगह नहीं देता था. ओके. सो दीज आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग to understand the depth of this particular road. Okay. So for this much for today. Thank you so much. And if you have any doubt, you must pick up and write it down in the Telegram channel, and we will discuss in the next class. ठीक है. So I am coming back after 5 minutes for a public video that would be on romantic criticism. ठीक है. आज के लिए इतना ही. Thank you so much.